for your answer. And Green, that same question goes to you.
The issue of urban sprawl, I don't think we have urban sprawl through there. We have had development through there. Our long-range planning committees was established to set up areas where we would have commercial growth, industrial growth, and scenic corridors. We did vote for a scenic corridor down 158, 68 area in that segment of the town. That was passed. There was also scheduled to be a Lowe's home improvement store that was going to go in. Now that was not in compliance with our land use plan, and I was one of the few that voted against that. That sense has not come to pass. So a lot of the things that I think we have to balance, getting in good employers, good people and businesses, and still not disturb what we like about this town, which is its rural nature, the uptown, which gives its identity, and the small town atmosphere. And I think we can still do that. And I think we got good guidelines in place to do that.
Thank you. Now, you don't get a break on this one, just so I can change up the order. I'm coming right back to you. It's about the post office. The town's post office building and parking lot have long been inadequate. Do you think the town council has been aggressive and persistent enough in trying to get the United States Postal Service to address its needs? And then a part two of this question, should Stokesdale consider leasing space in the new town hall or at another location for the post office?
We have offered free space at the new property. When we got that, we told the Postal Service, we will give you the land if you will build a post office. We'll even help you build a post office. I don't know anything else I can do unless y'all want to elect me to Congress, and I don't want to do that. But I have talked to Richard Burr about this issue. I've talked to Congressman Coble and his office about this. We've had petitions. We've been, I think, aggressive to the point that they've told us, if you get much more aggressive, then we're going to be turned off by your aggression. We have been constant with the pressure, and the situation is there's a limited amount of funds. They have their own schedules and times. We've even talked about them putting the post office in this building. We've given them information on other buildings that would be more appropriate than the current location. And we've offered to go in business with them, with the land, with the building. And if you'll notice, our master plan shows an extra building, and one of those could be used for a post office. We had that in mind when we drafted the master plan. Whatever it takes, we'll do it. But I'm afraid that the only thing the council can do is rely on our folks in Washington, because that's a federal decision and not a state decision nor a municipal decision.
Thank you. Theron, we're going to talk about that liquor by the drink. Do you agree that citizens should have the right to vote on whether the town has liquor by the drink, or should this be a town council decision?
Well, in retrospect, it was a council decision to begin with. It was revisited and came back up. The council decided to turn it over to the people, and rightfully so at that point in time. And I think people should have their say at this time, since it was the way the council went with it, plain and simple. The other option was to have the proponents of it to develop a petition and get X amount of signatures percentage-wise, bring it before the elections board, and have a special election or a in-line election with the municipal election. And that was an option that was given and out there, and it was reintroduced, and we'll see how the vote goes.
Right, that same question is going to come to you.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to let the people vote on it. Again, my concern, and I had mentioned this in my opening, was that people understand what they're voting for. That if they're going to vote for liquor by the drink, that it's an informed vote, and they need to go to the North Carolina ABC website and see what liquor by the drink means. I think a lot of people, at least a lot of people I've talked to, when you mention that to them, right away the word restaurant comes up. Oh, it'd be great if we had that, we'd get more restaurants. And I don't think they understand that it's not a vote for restaurants, it's a vote for any establishment that wants to serve liquor. And whether you're for it or against it, the main thing would be to make an informed decision. Look at what the statute says, and basically what it says is any establishment, a restaurant is defined as any establishment with at least 30% food sales and 36 seats. Now, there are some other things that go with that, but that's the main definition of a restaurant. So, in my mind, that includes a lot of bars that I've seen. So, at least, people should be informed about that decision.
Thank you. Mickey, you initially voted against citizens having the right to vote on whether the town has liquor by the drink, and a few months later, you changed your vote in favor of citizens having the right to vote on liquor by the drink. Can you tell us more about why you changed your vote?
It was almost a year later that I did change. When it first came, I will agree that I sort of leaned toward the Baptist church and everything that they said, you know, about us not having it. And then a lot of people came to me and they said, this is not fair. How can 5 people say for 3,700 people that you can't have liquor by the drink or whatever? So I decided that we should vote on it and decide if we'd let the people vote. And I think that is a great idea myself, to let people say.
Randy, can you explain your vote regarding liquor by the drink?
Yes, we met right here in this room on the first time. We had probably 100+ people who were opposed to it. We only had about 3 people who supported it. Because it was a presidential election year, it would have cost us a second cost for an election. It would require a special election with an additional cost. 3 people didn't justify the cost to the town for that type of election. Once that vote was made, and people misunderstood that we were saying you can't have it, and that's not what we were doing. It was just whether to put it on the ballot or not. People came to me and said, we'd like the chance to vote on it even if we're against it. From that standpoint, I believe, and I always trust the folks that are capable of making an informed decision on this, and for that reason, I changed my vote on that. It doesn't cost us the extra funds for an election this year. I believe it'll bring closure. And in addition, some of the things that people are worried about, the bars and things, we have ordinances in place, we have the town deputy. They haven't seen those problems when they have it. It will bring revenue, but that shouldn't be a deciding factor because we're very solvent in the town. So I think people just need to make their decision based on where they feel on that issue and vote their conscience.
Thank you. Theron, if elected, what do you think will be your greatest strength as a council member? And what do you think will be your weakness?
Greatest strength will be to come in unbiased, impartial. I won't come in with any special interest groups that I have to, that have endorsed me. I won't have to pay back anybody. I have probably 30 years in government work put together along with private sector public service. And I think that many of the organizations that I've served on will give me a good, stable platform for policy and program development. Weaknesses, the only one that I can come up with in this forum would be that I have not sat on the council. I'm not an incumbent, and I think that that's probably a learning curve once you're on.
Thank you very much. And Frank, that same question.
You know, having been in customer service my whole life, and especially in the restaurant business, I think one of the biggest things that I do, you know, I'm a good listener, and customer service is what I'm all about. I have to. That's kind of what my business is, especially in the financial business right now. So I think that's probably my greatest strength, is being able to listen to people, hear what they have to say, and give them the opportunity to voice their opinion. I agree with Theron. I think probably the biggest drawback I have right now is basically I've never been on the town council. So there will be a learning curve. Hopefully with, you know, especially the management experience I have, and again, I'm a good listener, so I'll listen to people on the council who have been there a while. I'll be able to adapt and fit in.
Thank you very much. Randy, do you think the town's scenic corridor protects the majority of Stokesdale citizens or hampers the property rights of citizens living in the scenic corridor?
I think it protects. Now, a lot of people are concerned that it does take away some of their property, but what it does is prevent buildings from being right up to the highway. It prevents businesses being built in an area and shining lights that will interfere with people's private enjoyment of their homes. It sets out some standards of putting up greenery and things to preserve the town's look of a rural area as opposed to looking like Wendover Avenue, just masses of concrete. That's the purpose of it. And if you want to see a great example of the difference, Greensboro adopted a scenic corridor after we did, but High Point had one. And if you look at 68, where High Point starts and Greensboro